I think the journey of how developers work is kind of an interesting story, especially with the advent of AI and all these AI tools. Historically, we would have a white page and we'd be dependent on our knowledge of how we write in PHP or what JavaScript we know how to write. And so we'd start writing, maybe we'd be able to copy and paste it from a previous project to get us to a certain point, and then inevitably we'd get stuck. We'd go out to Google, we'd search, we'd end up on a Stack Overflow thread where developers are asking questions and they're getting answers. And that is how we worked until, like 2 years ago. Now, about 4 years ago, I'd say, all of a sudden in our IDEs, VS Code or Sublime, we'd start getting hints about how we finish coding. You start typing a function and Microsoft is like, oh, I know what you want, and it auto-completes what you're trying to type. This was somewhat useful, not always useful, but certainly somewhat useful. And then about 2 years ago now, ChatGPT was launched, and all of a sudden the world opened up to this idea of generative AI using large language models. Now, instead of Google searching, you're having this conversation with a chatbot, and you can ask the exact same questions you ask Google, but instead of it being a one-way street, you're actually getting essentially those same answers, but in a way that is iterative. So I can follow up with my questions and it'll spit out code. And instead of starting from a blank page, it'll give me that starting point for creating the feature or the very specific function that you're working on. If we can ask ChatGPT to help us start from a really good starting point, that's fantastic. That was a huge step in a developer's workflow. You could also copy and paste in some code that you're working on. It's really good at figuring out what this function is doing, what this line or page of code is doing. And it's an immensely powerful learning tool because you can ask it questions like, what is this little thing doing? What is this function doing? And it will understand it in a way that's just baffling. Having all the knowledge that I have as an experienced developer certainly helps me be able to prompt it properly and get the result that I want. But this idea that I can be in my editor, ask it, it makes changes, I iterate over it, it's just super powerful. I've never been like a code purist. I've never been in it because I think code is poetry. I like to solve problems for clients. I like to hear their problems, hear their pain points, and then code has always been the way that I can provide that solution to the client or the user, whatever the case is. And so for me, I think it's very exciting.